The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was vast and bright, filled with delegates from hundreds of star systems. Alien species of every shape and color floated, walked, or hovered across the floor, their voices echoing in a chorus of many languages. At the center, a long table of crystalline metal stretched across the hall, where the most powerful leaders sat. All eyes were on the holographic projection in the middle of the room, a live feed of the galaxy, with fleets, colonies, and trade routes mapped in intricate detail. "Reports indicate a new development in Sector 9G, said Counselor Thryn, a three-eyed reptilian diplomat, his tail flicking nervously. "A species humans call themselves from an insignificant star system. Intelligence says they are primitive, poorly organized, and technologically weak. Yet, we have seen unusual activity near uncharted sectors." A murmur of curiosity and amusement ran through the hall. Many species had long underestimated humanity. For centuries, humans were considered a minor species with small numbers and limited technology. They were seen as unworthy of attention, a footnote in galactic history. "Primitive? Poorly organized?" scoffed Ambassador Vela, a winged humanoid from the Xylar Collective. Her voice was sharp and melodic. "They barely survived the early colonies, and now you suggest they might pose a threat to our fleets?" "Not yet a threat," Counselor Thryn replied carefully, "but reports indicate mobilization, shipyards active, new training protocols, and large-scale fleet movements. Intelligence sensors cannot detect the full scope of their operations. We must observe further." From the far end of the hall, a quiet voice spoke. It was a human, one of the first ever to address the Council directly. Commander Elara Voss stepped forward. She wore the official attire of humanity, a sleek uniform of deep blue with silver insignias. Her presence was calm but commanding. Every species in the hall watched closely, some with skepticism, others with curiosity. "Counselors," Elara began, her voice firm and clear, "I represent humanity. You may have considered us weak or disorganized, but I am here to tell you that assumption is incorrect. Humanity has grown stronger, more disciplined, and more capable than you have been led to believe. We do not come to threaten, but to ensure recognition and understanding. Underestimating us is no longer an option." A ripple of laughter passed through some delegates. A few alien leaders exchanged smirks, thinking it bold arrogance, but a few, like Counselor Thryn, leaned forward, their eyes narrowing. Something in her tone suggested she spoke the truth. "Commander Voss," said Ambassador Vela, her wings flicking with irritation, "you expect us to believe that your species, which struggled to survive for centuries, suddenly commands fleets capable of rivaling our own." Elara's expression did not change. "I do not ask you to believe immediately. Observe us. You will see that humanity does not rely only on technology. We rely on ingenuity, strategy, and unity. Our strength lies in our ability to adapt, to cooperate, and to persevere under conditions that others cannot endure." For a moment, silence filled the hall. Many leaders were unsettled. Humans were unpredictable. They had survived environmental disasters, interstellar wars, and internal conflicts with limited resources. And now, standing in front of the Council, they spoke with a confidence that was hard to ignore. Counselor Thryn motioned to the holographic map. "Our sensors have detected unusual fleet movements near the Halion Rift. Reports are scattered, but we believe humans are consolidating forces in multiple locations simultaneously. Intelligence suggests coordinated training across different colonies. But it seems almost impossible for such a fragmented species to achieve this level of coordination." Elara nodded. "That is precisely the point. Humans are not limited by what appears possible. Our colonies, spread across many systems, share information rapidly. We train constantly, innovate continuously, and prepare for challenges others dismiss. What seems impossible to you is our daily routine. You may have underestimated our resilience, but it is real and measurable." Whispers began circulating through the hall. Some delegates exchanged worried glances. Others leaned back, shaking their heads, unwilling to admit the possibility that humans could be more than a minor species. Ambassador Vela stood, her sharp claws tapping on the crystalline table. "Even if your humans are clever, you cannot match the fleets of the Xerax Dominion or the Xylar Collective. Your technology is simple compared to ours. Even your discipline cannot substitute for power. Tell us, Commander, what do you hope to achieve by showing yourself here?" Ilara's eyes scanned the hall. She had expected this skepticism. She had prepared for it. "We do not seek domination," she said calmly. "We seek recognition, respect, and the opportunity to participate fully in galactic matters. But make no mistake, humanity is capable of defending itself against overwhelming odds. We do not wage wars without reason, but if threatened, we are prepared to act decisively." A sudden alert lit up the holographic map. Counselor Thrin's heads turned toward it. "Sensors have detected large-scale mobilization from human shipyards in the Beta Cronus cluster," he said, his voice tight. "The fleet numbers are increasing far beyond what our estimates suggested. Commander Voss, explain this sudden acceleration." Ilara did not hesitate. "Human expansion is deliberate and careful. We have anticipated your monitoring. We do not act rashly, but when necessary, our fleets move with precision. You may find our actions unconventional, but they are efficient and effective. Observe closely." The Council watched as smaller projections around the main map lit up, showing human ships launching in coordinated formations, moving toward uncharted sectors. The speed of deployment and the scale of coordination shocked many species. They had never seen anything like it. This is unprecedented," muttered one elder delegate, a species whose lifespan spanned 3 centuries. "How can a species we dismissed as primitive achieve this without advanced technology?" Ilara's voice carried through the hall unwavering. "Because we do not rely solely on technology. We rely on people, on teamwork, and on courage. Humans are adaptable. We learn from mistakes quickly. We innovate on the fly. And we face challenges without surrendering to fear. You see ships and fleets, but our true strength lies in the human spirit." The hall fell silent again. Many delegates struggled to reconcile centuries of assumptions with the evidence now visible. Humans, they realized, were not what history had recorded. They were something more. Dangerous, not because of raw power alone, but because of resilience, adaptability, and unity. Counselor Thrin raised a clawed hand. "If your claims are accurate, then the Council must reconsider humanity's status. But how can we trust a species that moves in secrecy, trains without revealing its methods, and grows in ways we cannot predict?" Ilara took a step forward, her presence commanding. "Trust is earned. Observation is available. Soon, the galaxy will witness humanity's ability to act in real situations, not just in simulations or reports. We do not ask for blind faith, only for the chance to prove ourselves. And when that time comes, the Council will understand that humans are a force that cannot be ignored." The murmurs turned into an uneasy quiet. Alien delegates who had mocked humans moments ago now studied them with something approaching fear and awe. History had painted humans as weak, but evidence suggested otherwise. Meanwhile, in secret, across multiple human colonies, fleets were assembling. Soldiers drilled on ships, strategists coordinated logistics, engineers fine-tuned weaponry and defense systems. Every human fleet was ready to move at a moment's notice, trained not just for combat, but for adaptability and rapid decision-making. Colonies that aliens had once considered small and insignificant now hummed with activity. Human intelligence networks communicated instantly across light years, sharing knowledge, refining tactics, and preparing for challenges the galaxy had never seen. It was not brute force alone that made humans formidable. It was discipline, innovation, and relentless preparation. Back at the council, Commander Voss stood silently, watching the reactions of delegates. She knew many would doubt, many would challenge, and some might even try to act against humanity. But she also knew that history was about to be rewritten. Humans were no longer a minor species to be ignored. The galaxy was about to witness their rise. As the meeting adjourned, whispers filled the corridors of the Grand Hall. "Are humans really capable of this?" one alien asked nervously. "Could we have misjudged them all along?" Ilara left the council chamber quietly, her mind focused on the next phase of humanity's plan. Observation was over. Preparation was complete. Soon, the galaxy would see that humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, fighters, and unifiers, and the question that would echo across every system was inevitable. Is this truly a human army? The stars outside the council station glittered, silent witnesses to humanity's rise. Ships began moving in distant sectors, formations perfect, engines humming with precision. Across the galaxy, alien intelligence networks scrambled to make sense of what they had underestimated for so long. Humanity had arrived, not with arrogance, but with purpose. The galaxy would soon understand that when humans acted, they did so with courage, strategy, and unity, a combination that no other species had mastered in the same way. And so, the stage was set. A species long considered insignificant was quietly preparing to redefine the balance of power in the galaxy. The outer reaches of the galaxy were quiet, almost deceptively calm. Stars glimmered in distant constellations, and small asteroid fields drifted slowly across the void. Yet in the Beta Cronus cluster, a storm of activity was unfolding. Human fleets, assembled in careful formations, were moving with silent precision toward uncharted sectors. Each ship's course was calculated, each crew member alert, yet the movements seemed effortless, natural even. Commander Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the lead vessel, Aurora Dawn. Her sharp eyes scanned the holographic displays showing fleet positions, sensor readings, and distant anomalies. For months, humanity had prepared for this moment. Every colony, every fleet, every soldier had trained for adaptive strategies, coordination under fire, and rapid decision-making. Now they were about to test that preparation against the galaxy's elite forces. A sudden alert flashed across the bridge. "Commander, sensors detect an alien fleet approaching," reported Lieutenant Kieran, a human officer with steady hands and calm voice. "They are Xeraxian cruisers, heavily armed and moving at high speed. Our fleet is outnumbered." Ilara's lips pressed into a thin line. "Maintain formation. Remember your training. Use the environment. Speed and precision will be our advantage. We are not here to destroy without purpose. We are here to demonstrate our capabilities." The Xeraxian fleet emerged from a nearby nebula, massive ships bristling with weapons, hulls shimmering with energy shields. Their commanders had expected easy victory. After all, humans were still considered primitive. They had intelligence reports suggesting limited technology, slow ships, and inexperienced crews. But as the Xeraxian commanders prepared to attack, the human fleet moved in ways they did not anticipate. Ships split into smaller squadrons, weaving between asteroids and debris fields. Sensors that had been carefully calibrated to detect conventional fleets suddenly struggled to track every movement. "Commander!" Lieutenant Kieran shouted, pointing at the display. "They are maneuvering around our positions, avoiding direct confrontation." Ilara nodded. "Good. Keep it tight. Let them overcommit. Their weapons are strong, but their strategy is rigid. Humans are flexible. Adapt and respond. The first exchange began. The Xeraxian ships fired, energy bolts slicing through space toward the human fleet. Human ships dodged with surprising agility, weaving in complex patterns that the aliens could not predict. Small human frigates moved close to asteroid fields, using them as shields while launching countermeasures to disable enemy sensors. From the command deck of the flagship Aurora Dawn, Ilara watched the battle unfold. She had studied alien tactics for years, training herself and her officers to anticipate conventional moves. But she knew humans' greatest advantage was not technology alone. It was adaptability, ingenuity, and courage under pressure. "Deploy the drones," she ordered. "Map their formations and create false targets. Make them think the fleet is larger than it is." Swarming drones erupted from human ships, their lights flickering like stars in the void. Sensors aboard Xeraxian cruisers detected multiple threats, many of which were illusions. Some fired on empty space, wasting precious energy and ammunition. The humans, meanwhile, moved in coordinated silence, striking where the enemy was weakest. Lieutenant Kieran's voice carried excitement tinged with disbelief. "Commander, they're falling into our pattern. They can't adjust fast enough." Ilara's expression remained calm, but inside she felt the surge of anticipation every human felt before a decisive moment. "Remember, Kieran," she said, "we do not fight blindly. Focus on disabling their systems, not destroying unnecessarily. Every move counts." The human fleet executed a daring maneuver. Small frigates darted between cruisers, releasing electromagnetic pulses that temporarily disrupted shields. Capital ships moved in tight formations, using coordinated fire to disable engines rather than hulls. The Xeraxian commanders, expecting simple frontal attacks, were caught off guard. Their fleet staggered, struggling to maintain formation under pressure they had not anticipated. From the observation decks of the Council's intelligence outposts, alien strategists watched in disbelief. "This cannot be happening," one muttered. They are using coordination, deception, and adaptive strategy simultaneously. No species has achieved this before." Ilara spoke to her fleet over secure channels. "All units maintain pressure. Move swiftly, but remember, precision over force. Prove to them that humans fight not just with strength, but with intelligence and unity. Let them see who we are." Across the battlefield, the human approach began to work. Xeraxian ships, though superior in firepower, struggled to adapt. Their shields flickered under precise strikes, engines faltered under targeted attacks, and coordination broke down as smaller human units exploited gaps. Every human ship, every crew member was part of a single, flexible system, unlike the rigid hierarchy of the alien fleet. "Commander," Kieran reported, "we have an opening. Their lead cruiser is isolated and unshielded. We can disable it without total destruction." Ilara considered the situation carefully. Humanity had always valued efficiency and strategy over mindless destruction. "Proceed. Disable their engines and weapons. Take the cruiser intact if possible. We do not fight to annihilate, but to demonstrate our capability." The maneuver was executed flawlessly. Human frigates moved close, avoiding heavy fire, and deployed a precision hacking device. Systems flickered, shields collapsed, and the cruiser powered down entirely. It drifted silently, a symbol of human ingenuity and restraint. Across the galaxy, intelligence reports from other species spread rapidly. Words like adaptive, unpredictable, and coordinated became common in alien communication channels. Humans were proving that they were not merely survivors. They were innovators in combat, able to challenge the most advanced fleets with strategy, discipline, and teamwork. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, smaller skirmishes erupted. Human boarding teams, trained in rapid infiltration, moved from disabled ships to enemy vessels. They avoided unnecessary killing, focusing instead on capturing key positions and taking control. Every move reflected humanity's philosophy. Victory achieved through intelligence, courage, and efficiency, not mindless destruction. "Commander," Kieran said, "they're trying to retreat, but we've cut off several escape routes. Their formation is in chaos." Ilara allowed herself a small nod. "Good. Remember, we fight as one. Keep communication open and move as a single entity. We are not just individuals, we are humanity." Hours passed, and the battle continued. Human fleets, though outnumbered, demonstrated a level of coordination the Zeraxian commanders had never encountered. Alien ships fell into traps, systems were disabled without unnecessary loss of life, and human ingenuity shone in every maneuver. Every engagement became a lesson in adaptability, strategy, and unity. Finally, the Zeraxian fleet began to retreat. Their commanders were stunned, unable to comprehend how humans, with simpler technology and smaller numbers, had gained the upper hand. Communications back to their homeworlds were filled with reports of human strategy, ingenuity, and restraint. Ilara watched the retreat, her expression calm but satisfied. Maintain positions. Allow them to withdraw. Humanity's goal is not destruction. We show our capability, our intelligence, and our discipline. Let them understand who we are. Across human colonies, news of the battle spread rapidly. Citizens celebrated quietly, knowing the galaxy was beginning to see humanity's true strength. Ships returned to orbit, soldiers debriefed, and strategists began analyzing every detail to prepare for the next phase. Humanity's preparation, training, and philosophy had been tested and proven. In the aftermath, alien intelligence networks scrambled to adjust. Analysts from dozens of species debated what had just occurred. No species had encountered humans in this way. They did not rely solely on firepower. They were disciplined, adaptable, and capable of coordinated action that seemed almost impossible. Counselor Thrin, observing the reports, whispered to a colleague, "They are not just fighters. They are thinkers, strategists, and collaborators. We misjudged them for centuries." Ilara, aboard the Aurora Dawn, addressed her fleet over secure channels. "Today, humanity has shown the galaxy that we are not to be underestimated. But remember, this is only the beginning. Observation has ended. Preparation continues. Every fleet, every colony, every person is part of a united purpose. The galaxy will soon recognize humanity's place." The stars outside shimmered quietly. In the darkness of space, human fleets glided smoothly, disciplined and ready. Across the galaxy, alien species scrambled to reassess. Humans were no longer the species to ignore. They were a force defined not by numbers alone, but by courage, strategy, and the ability to adapt. And as the reports continued to flood the Council, one thought echoed across countless alien minds. Is this truly a human army? The first contact in combat had changed the perception of humanity forever. It was not merely a battle won, it was a revelation. A small, underestimated species had demonstrated a combination of intelligence, courage, and unity that no other species had mastered. And across the galaxy, the stage was set for more encounters. Humans had proven they could fight, think, and innovate. Alien fleets would soon learn that facing humanity was not simply a matter of firepower. It was a challenge of wits, strategy, and spirit. The Beta Cronus cluster, once a quiet corner of space, now held the first evidence of a human force unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The battle was over for now, but the story of humanity's rise was only beginning. The galaxy had begun to take notice. The first skirmish in the Beta Cronus cluster had shattered centuries of assumptions about humanity. Across council chambers and intelligence networks, alien leaders whispered in disbelief. How could a species with limited technology, small numbers, and a history of struggle perform with such efficiency and coordination? Commander Ilara Voss stood aboard the flagship Aurora Dawn, looking out into the endless expanse of space. Her fleet had returned from the initial engagement largely unscathed, their mission accomplished without unnecessary destruction. But she knew that the real test was coming. The Galactic Council had dispatched an elite fleet to confront humanity, a fleet of vast size with advanced technology and seasoned commanders who believed no species could match them. "Commander," said Lieutenant Kieran, pointing at the holographic display, "the elite fleet is approaching. Xeraxian, Xylar, and other Council fleets combined. They outnumber us at least 3-1. Their weapons are far superior. This is a true test." Ilara's expression remained calm. "Then we will show them the human way. We fight not just with power, but with intelligence, courage, and unity. Remember everything we have trained for. Today the galaxy will see that humans do not rely on size or strength alone." The alien fleet emerged from a nearby nebula like a dark storm in space. Enormous warships bristled with weapons, shields glowing with energy, engines radiating intense heat. Their commanders were confident. They had faced countless species in their long histories, and all had fallen before their fleets. Yet they had never faced humans in full formation. "Commander," Kieran reported, "they are forming a blockade. They intend to crush us quickly. Sensors suggest they expect an easy victory." Ilara nodded. "Good. Let them underestimate us. Humans thrive where others fail. We will use the environment, our speed, and our flexibility. Trust in your training. Trust in each other. Remember, we are humanity." The first engagement began. Alien weapons fired, energy beams cutting through space toward human formations. Human ships moved with agility that astonished the enemy. Small frigates darted between asteroids and debris, using the terrain as shields. Capital ships adjusted their positions constantly, avoiding predictable patterns. "Commander," Kieran said, excitement in his voice, "their weapons cannot lock on effectively. They are struggling to adjust to our formations." Ilara smiled faintly. "Precisely. Humans do not fight rigidly. We adapt, we observe, and we exploit weaknesses. Focus on precision. Disable their systems, not destroy unnecessarily. Every move counts." As the battle progressed, the humans began to employ strategies that were unfamiliar to the alien commanders. Small teams executed feints, pretending to retreat while drawing enemy ships into traps. Drones created illusions of larger formations, confusing sensors and diverting fire. One particularly daring maneuver involved the human frigates splitting into multiple squadrons, weaving in and out of asteroid belts while launching precision strikes. Alien commanders, accustomed to predictable tactics, were caught off guard. Shields flickered under unexpected attacks, engines faltered, and coordination faltered. "Commander," Kieran reported again, "we have a chance to isolate their lead cruiser. It's vulnerable if we act quickly." Ilara considered the situation carefully. "Proceed. Disable it. But avoid unnecessary destruction. Humanity's strength is not in annihilation. It is in intelligence, strategy, and the ability to inspire respect. Take control if possible." The maneuver was executed flawlessly. Human ships moved with exact timing, hacking the enemy cruiser's systems while avoiding heavy fire. Engines shut down, shields collapsed, and the cruiser drifted silently, a symbol of human discipline and ingenuity. Meanwhile, alien fleets began to lose cohesion. The elite commanders, though experienced, struggled to adapt to tactics they had never seen. Every human move was unpredictable yet precise. They used terrain, deception, and coordinated strikes with a flexibility no other species had demonstrated. "Commander," Kieran said, "they're attempting a retreat, but we've cut off multiple escape routes. Their formation is breaking down completely. Ilara nodded. Excellent. Maintain pressure but act with purpose. Do not destroy more than necessary. Humanity's reputation grows not from the firepower we wield, but from the discipline, courage, and honor we display. Across the battlefield, human boarding teams launched from small frigates onto disabled alien ships. Their objective was not slaughter, but control. Every mission emphasized strategy and restraint. Humans captured key positions and valuable technology, gaining advantage without unnecessary casualties. In Council observation posts, alien analysts scrambled to understand what was happening. "This cannot be," whispered one strategist. "Humans are using deception, strategy, and coordination simultaneously. No species has ever achieved this." Ilara addressed her fleet. "Remember, we fight as one. Every ship, every crew member, every colony is part of a single system. Trust in each other, adapt, innovate, and never give up. Today, the galaxy will witness the human way." Hours passed. The battle, though fierce, was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Humans were outnumbered, yet they moved with synchronization, intelligence, and courage. Alien ships fell into traps, their systems disabled without unnecessary loss of life. Small squads acted decisively, striking with precision and retreating before retaliation. Every move reflected humanity's philosophy: victory through strategy, unity, and ingenuity. Finally, the elite fleet began to withdraw. Their commanders were stunned, unable to comprehend how humans, with smaller numbers and simpler technology, had gained the upper hand. Communications to homeworlds were filled with reports of human strategy, clever maneuvers, and restraint. Ilara allowed herself a small nod. "Hold positions. Let them retreat. Humanity's goal is not destruction. We demonstrate capability, intelligence, and unity. Let them understand who we are." Across human colonies, news of the battle spread quickly. Citizens celebrated, but quietly. They knew that the galaxy was beginning to see humanity's true strength. Ships returned to orbit, crews debriefed, and strategists analyzed every movement. Humanity's preparation had been tested and proven. Alien intelligence networks struggled to adapt. Analysts from dozens of species debated how humans had achieved this. No other species relied on adaptability, teamwork, and courage in this way. They were not simply fighters. They were thinkers, innovators, and strategists. Counselor Thren, observing the reports, whispered to a colleague, "They are not just fighters. They are thinkers, strategists, and collaborators. We misjudged them for centuries." Ilara addressed her fleet over secure channels. "Today, we have shown the galaxy that humans are not to be underestimated. But remember, this is only the beginning. Observation has ended. Preparation continues. Every fleet, every colony, every person is part of a united purpose. The galaxy will soon recognize humanity's place." The stars outside shimmered quietly. Human fleets moved smoothly, disciplined and ready. Across the galaxy, alien species scrambled to reassess. Humans were no longer a species to ignore. They were a force defined not by size or firepower alone, but by courage, intelligence, and unity. The Beta Cronus cluster, once a quiet corner of space, now held the first proof of a human army unlike any the galaxy had seen. The battle was more than a victory. It was a revelation. Humanity had shown that they could fight, think, and innovate. Alien fleets would soon learn that facing humanity was not simply about weapons. It was about strategy, coordination, and the human spirit. And across the galaxy, the question repeated itself in every council chamber, every command post, and every intelligence network. Is this truly a human army? The first contact in large-scale combat had changed perceptions forever. Humans had proven that strength alone was not enough. Unity, courage, strategy, and innovation had made them a force that the galaxy could not ignore. The stage was set for the final act. Humans had survived their first true test against the elite fleets, but more challenges awaited. The Galactic Council would now have to face the reality that humanity was not only a species capable of defense, but one that could inspire respect and fear across star systems. The stars twinkled silently, as if the universe itself was watching the rise of a species that refused to be underestimated. Humanity's story was only beginning, and the galaxy would remember this day as the moment when a species once considered weak showed the true meaning of power, intelligence, unity, and courage. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council had never been as silent as it was that day. Delegates from hundreds of species filled the vast chamber, but no one spoke above a whisper. Screens displayed reports, holographic maps, and battle simulations from the Beta Cronus cluster. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the Council had to reassess an entire species. Humans had returned from their first large-scale engagements largely intact, their fleets disciplined, their strategies unmatched, and their philosophy of restraint and efficiency leaving alien commanders bewildered. Reports of their actions, precise strikes, avoidance of unnecessary destruction, and intelligent boarding operations flooded every intelligence network. Counselor Thryn, the three-eyed Varkon diplomat, leaned forward, his claws tapping on the crystalline table. Fellow counselors, I do not use words lightly. Humanity is unlike anything we have faced. Their fleets, though smaller and less technologically advanced, operate with intelligence and coordination that rivals our greatest forces. Their strategies are unprecedented. A murmur spread across the chamber. Delegates whispered to each other, comparing notes and adjusting preconceived notions. Ambassador Vela of the Xylar Collective, wings folded tight behind her, looked tense. I have studied human engagements, she admitted reluctantly. Their fleet movements are unpredictable yet flawless. Their coordination, timing, and adaptability surpass any species I have encountered. How is it possible? Ilara Voss entered the chamber, walking calmly toward the central podium. Her uniform was pristine, her presence commanding yet composed. Every eye followed her. She had come not to threaten, but to address the Council after humanity's demonstrations of capability. Counselors, she began, her voice clear and steady, humanity has long been underestimated. For centuries, reports dismissed us as primitive, disorganized, and weak. We are not. We are prepared, disciplined, and united. We do not fight for conquest, nor do we seek unnecessary destruction. We fight with strategy, with courage, and with respect for life whenever possible. You have now witnessed a fraction of what humans can accomplish. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. Others looked amazed. Humans, it seemed, were not simply survivors. They were innovators, tacticians, and diplomats all at once. Counselor Thryn's voice broke the silence. Commander Voss, your fleets have demonstrated remarkable ability, yet you face far superior technology in this galaxy. How do you maintain such effectiveness without matching our power in size and firepower? Ilara smiled faintly. Our strength is not measured in weapons alone. Our fleets are smaller, yes, and our ships may not match the largest cruisers of your species. But humans fight with intelligence, adaptability, and unity. We learn quickly, innovate constantly, and work together as a single system. That is how we overcome challenges others cannot. The chamber was quiet again. Alien leaders, long used to judging strength by numbers and firepower, struggled to grasp a new concept, a species that relied on ingenuity, coordination, and courage as primary weapons. Commander, said Ambassador Vela reluctantly, you speak of values and spirit, but the galaxy measures power in ships and weapons. Why should we acknowledge humanity as a major power when our technology surpasses yours in almost every way? Ilara's gaze was unwavering. Because true power is not only in numbers or technology, it is in resilience, courage, and the ability to act decisively in the face of uncertainty. You have seen humans fight. You have seen our fleet coordinate under fire, our small teams execute strategies that confuse larger forces, and our restraint in victory. That is why humanity deserves recognition, not merely for what we can destroy, but for how we act with intelligence and honor. Counselors exchanged glances. For the first time, many admitted to themselves that humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered. They were a combination of skill, courage, discipline, and unity. The first skirmishes, though small in scale compared to galactic standards, had rewritten centuries of assumptions. A holographic alert lit up the Council's central display. It showed reports from multiple systems, humans providing aid to allied colonies, rescuing stranded crews, and demonstrating diplomacy with species that had previously been at odds. Every action reflected the same principle. Humanity's strength lay not in domination, but in intelligence, adaptability, and moral restraint. "Commander Voss," Counselor Thrin said, his voice almost reverent, "it seems your species has proven not just military capability, but moral and strategic leadership. The Council must decide how to acknowledge humanity's place in the galaxy." Ilara took a deep breath. "We do not seek dominance. We seek recognition, understanding, and cooperation. Humanity wishes to contribute to the galaxy, to maintain peace, and to demonstrate that intelligence and courage can overcome the limitations of size and technology. We ask only for the chance to act as equals, not as conquerors." The chamber remained silent. The implications were staggering. Humanity had arrived not with arrogance, but with proof of capability and restraint. A species once dismissed as minor now demanded recognition as a major galactic power. Counselor Thrin finally spoke. "I propose that humanity be formally recognized as a major power within the Council, with rights and responsibilities equal to other species. Their actions in combat and diplomacy prove that they possess not only skill, but the judgment to wield power wisely." Murmurs of agreement filled the chamber. Some species remained cautious, but the majority were convinced. The evidence could not be ignored. Humans had demonstrated extraordinary ability, unmatched strategy, and moral restraint. Their fleets were disciplined, their people courageous, and their philosophy unique in the galaxy. Ilara addressed the Council one last time. "We are grateful for your consideration. Humanity will continue to act with honor, intelligence, and courage. You have seen a glimpse of our capability, but we ask only to be treated as equals and judged by our actions, not by assumptions." The Council voted unanimously. Humanity was formally recognized as a major galactic power. Ships from human colonies and fleets were now part of the official Council registry, and human delegates would have a voice equal to that of the oldest and most powerful species. Outside the Council station, human fleets glided silently through the stars. The Beta Cronus cluster, once a quiet sector, now bore witness to a new reality. Humans were no longer underestimated. Across the galaxy, alien fleets scrambled to adjust, realizing that humanity's rise was not accidental. It was the result of preparation, discipline, and courage. Commander Ilara Voss looked out at the stars, reflecting on the journey that had brought humanity to this moment. They had been underestimated, dismissed, and ignored. But through intelligence, adaptability, and unity, they had proven their place among the galaxy's great powers. "Humanity is ready," she said quietly to her officers, "not for conquest but for cooperation. The galaxy will remember this day, and it will never underestimate us again." Across the Council chambers, alien leaders whispered among themselves, "Is this truly a human army? many asked. The answer was now clear. It was more than an army. Humanity represented ingenuity, courage, and unity, a force unlike any other. Back on Earth, colonies and human fleets, people celebrated quietly, not with arrogance, but with pride. Humanity had achieved recognition through effort, discipline, and moral courage. The message to the galaxy was simple, yet powerful. Humans fight with intelligence, innovate constantly, and act with honor. In the days following, the Galactic Council began restructuring alliances, treaties, and trade agreements to include humanity. Species that had once ignored humans now sought their counsel, eager to learn how such a small yet effective species had risen so quickly. Alara stood on the bridge of the Aurora Dawn, observing the bustling fleets and colonies. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had not only survived, but had set an example of what determination, discipline, and unity could achieve. She knew more challenges lay ahead. Other species would test humanity in new ways, and conflicts would arise. But the foundation was solid. Humans had shown that their true strength was not merely in weapons or numbers, but in the ability to act wisely, courageously, and together. As the stars sparkled silently beyond the fleet, Ilara felt a quiet satisfaction. Humanity had arrived, not to conquer, but to stand as equals in a galaxy that had once dismissed them. And across the cosmos, the question repeated itself in every council chamber, every intelligence post, and every fleet command. Is this truly a human army? The answer was no longer in doubt. It was more than an army. It was the embodiment of human ingenuity, courage, and unity. A species once underestimated had now become a force that the galaxy would remember for generations. And so humanity began a new chapter in galactic history, not as a minor species, but as a respected, capable, and honorable power, ready to shape the future of the galaxy.